Hello, folks. I'm really sorry I can't make the meetings. I've been really not well and in hospital as a result of my bipolar disorder. So, unfortunately, I am under the strictest of doctor's orders to take it very easy and look after myself. So, I'm afraid I can't be at the meetings, but I thought I would just give you a video update on how things are going with No More Lost Souls and what we're up to. It's great to hear from you all. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all fine. Since last we spoke, there's been a bit of change at No More Lost Souls, for better, for worse, for whatever's coming ahead. It is no longer a defined group as such. It's actually grown to become something more. It is pretty much just myself running the page at the moment. Unfortunately, things just didn't work out having the group that we had. I'm afraid to say, unfortunately, we were exposed to some trolling and what have you over the last couple of years since the group's inception. It's disappointing, but we all know when we get involved in projects like these, there are teething matters, there are things that just don't quite work out. There is certainly no bad blood on my part, but that particular structure has become something else, and that's a good thing. Ultimately, No More Lost Souls was never going to be the answer to the mental health crisis in Caithness. It is a voice for the voiceless to speak up for everybody affected by their mental illness that need proper treatment and care. And ultimately, individuals afflicted by mental illness deserve that level of care. And one thing that I've discovered running this group and doing things with No More Lost Souls, the responsibility cannot be put on those of us who are ill to solve the problem. It's just, we can speak about our problems, most certainly, yes, and that's ultimately what No More Lost Souls has become. It's a conversation. It's a conversation without stigma. It's a conversation without prejudice. It's people sitting on the street and talking as freely about their mental health and mental illness as they talk about anything else in this world. So that's the first and foremost thing that needs to be dealt with, the taboo and stigma around mental illness. There are still situations that I see in my daily life where people just don't like hearing people talking about it. It makes them uncomfortable. And that's sad, unfortunately, and that's a perception that needs to change. The only way that you make things comfortable is by talking about them, and the conversation needs to continue. So that is what No More Lost Souls is. We talk. Folks are still getting in touch with the page. The support is fantastic. It's 2,400 plus, but it's not about numbers, folks. It's never been about the most numbers, the most likes, the most shares. That's just a Facebook algorithm. That's just data. What it is about is people talking to each other and feeling safe and comfortable to do so. And that's what the page is. There is no stigma. There is no judgment. People are human beings. Their thoughts and feelings are valid. And above all, what most everybody that gets in touch with the group wants, and what we need here in Caithness, is what we've been fighting for since the start. At the very least, 2 dedicated psychiatrists and 2 dedicated psychologists, 4 in total, between the Wick and Thurso areas, covering Caithness, and permanently located, not locums. Locums just do not work, and there is no amount of evidence, no amount of fact-finding missions, no amount of Zoom calls that are going to prove to me or anybody else that video links and remote conversations with doctors that you see once and then disappear, they just don't work. They don't. They can't. They never have. They never will. Only speaking from personal experience, but I had to switch doctors because of the poor service I was receiving from my current or then medical practice. And obviously having to speak in terms of confidentiality with relation to others. I will use I statements. I have seen misconduct. I have had prescriptions changed without consent, medications held without consent, discussions made without my consent, and without obviously naming any names, I have had individuals get in touch and they've been through the exact same situation. It's horrifying. It's the 21st century, and we are using the highest powered digital technology available to stay in touch, but we still can't get human beings on site permanently. And that's what people need, folks. As I say, that's the most important thing. The one that we've suggested from the very start. There are so many places available in Caithness just lying to rack and ruin. The Old Wick High School, the Caberfae Court, discussions that we've had both in the community and just with individuals one-on-one. The high school would be a perfect venue for a medical support venue. You know, it's 10 minutes away from the actual hospital, so if somebody was in crisis, they'd be taken there immediately. Caberfae Court was supported living assistance for individuals. Well, that's exactly what people in mental health crisis need. Somewhere that is safe, somewhere that is welcome, somewhere that is calming, somewhere that is local. Recently I had to travel over 200 miles just to get a blood test myself, and I'm sorry, that was a 12-hour day using the buses. If you don't have a car, you're pretty much scuppered, folks, and overwhelmingly it's a deep sense of frustration in this community that we're ignored. You know, letters keep getting sent, you know, folks keep sharing and posting, and it's great. There's a fantastic sense of community has grown from No More Lost Souls, and that is something that everybody involved should be incredibly proud of. It's fantastic. But we, and that is the royal we, every single person affected by mental health and mental illness in Caithness, are sick, fed up of being treated like second-class citizens up here. That travelling 200, 300, 400 miles is seemingly perfectly acceptable, that people in crisis can be ignored for months, weeks, years at a time. As I said in a recent conversation with the Groat, there was an individual who waited 5 years and then ended up having to go private because they just simply couldn't see someone. 5 years. And they say that when it comes to every sort of medical health, every second and moment is precious. Well, you're just abandoned with mental health. You are. As soon as a few targets are met and a few boxes are ticked, it's, oh, they're healthy. And out of the system you go on. It's worse than heartbreaking, folks. Officially aware of 19 suicides between 2020 and the current year, 2022. Unofficially, the number could be as high as the 40s or even higher. It's soul-destroying knowing that people can't get the help that they need. I'm very grateful that people trust No More Lost Souls to reach out, because all we do is guide folks. There is no advice given. We are not medical professionals. We are the sufferers, so we speak from experience. And it's guidance. That's all it is. Here are the numbers that we are privy to. Here are the individuals we have spoken to. Perhaps they will be of use to you, because there is no set defined plan or cure for the curse of mental illness. It needs to be dealt with on an individual, one-on-one basis with doctors, nurses, staff, psychiatry, looking at the individual, treating the individual, using case studies and knowledge as the basis for understanding, but not as the absolute truth of understanding. Because everybody's different. Everybody's mental health, everybody's mental illness is unique to that individual, man, woman, trans, whatever the individual so defines themselves as, they are a person. And it's time that people of Caithness started getting treated like people again. The one that's often used with relation to our good friends in the Caithness Health Action Team. You can't treat a cow the way that pregnant mothers are treated. Well, human beings with their mental health are being treated very much the same. Lesser than animals. And that's just, I'm sorry, it's not acceptable in the 21st century. It shouldn't have taken 25 years for something like this to have happened. It shouldn't have taken 19 suicides. A lot more needs to be done. So with regards to No More Lost Souls, we are going to continue having the conversation. We're going to keep talking. Our bench has been very well used since being put in place. It's fantastic. The community garden has brought a fantastic spirit of community together. We have had kindness from as far as Switzerland to put plants in that garden in memory of the souls lost and just in memory of those still with us. Community. For the community and by the community. But I very much realise that it is not the responsibility of one person to fight for this cause. It needs to be a unified voice saying this is simply not good enough for the people of Caithness. And one thing that I'm very grateful that we are able to do is put people in touch with our own listening ear. A local service. It's fantastic. Mikey's Line is obviously advertised on the page, as are Samaritans, Papyrus, etc. But having our own listening ear, that knowledge that there's something local that can be trusted and that we can say, look, this is a good service, that means so much for the people of Caithness, because it's not something out with and beyond, it's something tangible that they can see. There are results. That's what everybody in Caithness deserves. That's what everybody in Scotland deserves. It's what everybody in the United Kingdom deserves. It's what everybody deserves worldwide. But we are realistically dealing with the problem on a Caithness level, and it is fantastic to see everything that has grown up as a result of it. The Recovery College is a fantastic idea. It was a privilege to be involved with Police Scotland last year and work directly one-on-one with them, speaking from our own personal experience. Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous individuals were there sharing their stories, and it was fantastic, really breaking down the boundaries between the sufferer and the individual in the uniform, and speaking to each other as human beings, because obviously they're being involved in a lot more stressful situations than just dealing with matters of criminality, you know. They're effectively having to become part of an extra emergency service when they're called out to deal with folks like myself and others in crisis. And it was very eye-opening, you know, realising the training that they have, for example, that, you know, it's a very much military-style training that they get when they go in to say that, you know, that somebody's person has been lost to suicide. It is pretty much in Mr. Person is dead and they're gone. There is no empathy training whatsoever, because it's not part of their training. They're there to deal with criminals, people in mental illness crisis. They're not criminals. They're patients. They're sufferers. So it was incredible, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity we were given to have those conversations, because, as I say, it is brutal. You know, suicide is the last taboo in society, and as I say, it's not about, you know, adopting a victim mentality and constantly saying poor little me. It's about being empowered through empathy that we can help and support each other and come together as one to help. So hope that's given a bit of an idea of where things are going at the moment with No More Lost Souls. As I say, it's a voice for the voiceless. It's not about having loads of stories in the newspapers. It's not about being on the telly. No, it's not about that. That is a means with which to get the message out there. It's a transmitter. And we're grateful that at last the voice is being heard. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your consideration. And keep doing the great work that you're doing. And as I always say, look after yourselves. Look after each other. Take care and bye for now.